Bella Rossi had always loved storms, the way rain transformed ordinary streets into something dramatic and cinematic, perfect for her photography. That evening, however, the storm rolling steadily over the city felt different, heavier, more threatening than the gentle rain she usually welcomed. She had been walking home from a photography assignment downtown when she first noticed him, a tall man in a dark coat, following her quietly through the emptying streets. At first, she convinced herself it was simply coincidence, someone walking the same direction home. But as she turned down 3 different streets, each time glancing back to find him still there, cold fear gripped her firmly. The rain grew heavier, thunder rumbling ominously overhead as Bella quickened her pace, her heart pounding anxiously. She glanced behind her once more, panic flooding through her as she realized the man had begun moving faster too, closing the distance steadily between them. Desperate, Bella turned sharply down an unfamiliar street, hoping to lose him among the confusing maze of narrow alleys. Instead, she found herself suddenly facing towering iron gates, behind which stood an enormous, elegant mansion, lights glowing warmly despite the storm raging outside. Without hesitation, driven purely by fear and instinct, Bella rushed toward the gates, banging desperately on the intercom, praying urgently for anyone to answer quickly. "Please," she said urgently into the intercom, "someone's following me. I need help, please." After a tense moment, the gates buzzed open unexpectedly, allowing Bella to rush quickly inside, sprinting toward the mansion's grand entrance as the storm intensified around her. She glanced back briefly, relief flooding through her as she noticed the mysterious man had disappeared, seemingly deterred by the mansion's imposing security. The large front door opened suddenly, revealing a tall, striking man dressed impeccably despite the late hour. He studied her carefully, concern and curiosity evident clearly in his sharp gaze. "Are you all right?" he asked calmly, his voice smooth yet commanding. Bella nodded quickly, breathless and soaked from the rain. "Someone was following me," she explained anxiously. "I didn't know where else to go." The man nodded understandingly, quickly ushering her inside, away from the storm. "You're safe here," he reassured her gently. "I'm Dante Moretti." As Bella stepped further inside, drying off gratefully with a towel offered quickly by a household staff member, she noticed 2 more men entering the grand foyer, each strikingly similar in appearance to Dante, clearly identical triplets. "This is my brother Enzo," Dante introduced calmly, gesturing toward one of the men, "and this is Matteo," he continued, indicating the third. Bella studied the 3 brothers curiously, slightly overwhelmed by their uncanny resemblance and commanding presence. "Thank you for your hospitality," she said politely, though clearly still shaken by her recent, frightening encounter outside. Enzo studied her carefully, genuine concern evident in his expression. "Do you have any idea why someone was following you?" he asked seriously. Bella shook her head, uncertainty clear in her voice. "No, I don't understand it at all. I'm just a photographer, nothing special or important." Matteo exchanged a subtle, knowing glance with his brothers, though he kept his expression carefully neutral in front of Bella. "It's clearly too dangerous for you to leave tonight," he said firmly. "You should stay here until the storm passes and until we're certain you're safe." Bella hesitated, uncertain about accepting hospitality from complete strangers, despite their evident concern and generosity. "I don't want to impose," she said carefully. "Perhaps I could simply call a taxi." Dante shook his head firmly, his tone kind but resolute. "It's not safe tonight, Bella. Please allow us to ensure your safety at least until morning." Reluctantly, Bella agreed, exhaustion and lingering fear from her frightening encounter outweighing her hesitation about staying somewhere unfamiliar. The brothers quickly arranged a comfortable guest room for her, ensuring she had everything she needed for a peaceful night's rest. As Bella settled into the unfamiliar yet luxurious guest room, she couldn't shake the strange, unsettling feeling that something deeper than mere hospitality motivated the brothers' insistence on her staying. Still, exhaustion eventually overcame her curiosity, and she drifted quickly into a deep, peaceful sleep. The next morning, Bella woke feeling refreshed, momentarily forgetting the frightening events from the previous evening. She quickly dressed, eager to thank the brothers again before heading home to resume her normal routine. However, as she made her way toward the mansion's large front entrance, she noticed immediately something unsettling. The massive iron gates outside remained firmly closed, guarded discreetly by several serious-looking men positioned strategically around the perimeter. Confused, Bella approached one of the household staff members nearby. "Excuse me," she asked carefully, "how do I get through the gates? I need to head home now." The staff member hesitated, clearly uncomfortable with her question. "I'm sorry, Miss Rossi," he replied cautiously. "The gates remain locked until Mr. Moretti gives specific instructions otherwise." Bella's heart pounded anxiously, confusion and unease growing rapidly within her. "What do you mean locked?" she asked, panic edging clearly into her voice. "I need to leave now." Just then, Dante appeared calmly from around the corner, his expression serious yet reassuring. "Bella," he said gently, though firmness underlined his tone clearly, "I'm afraid it's not that simple anymore." Bella's breath caught sharply, anxiety and confusion intensifying rapidly within her. "What do you mean?" she demanded, fear evident clearly in her voice. "Why can't I leave?" Dante studied her carefully, clear seriousness evident in his gaze. "Because the man who followed you last night wasn't simply a random stranger," he explained gravely. "You've unknowingly become involved in something far more dangerous than you realize, Bella. And until we resolve this completely, you're safer here with us." Bella stood frozen in the grand hallway, disbelief and fear mixing intensely within her as Dante's words settled heavily in her mind. "Involved in something dangerous?" she repeated, her voice shaking slightly. "I don't understand. I'm just a photographer." Dante's expression softened slightly, though seriousness remained clear in his gaze. "Please come sit down," he said gently, guiding her carefully toward a nearby sitting room. "Let us explain everything properly." Reluctantly, Bella followed him, her mind racing anxiously as she took a seat across from Dante, Enzo and Matteo, who had gathered quickly upon hearing the commotion. The three brothers exchanged serious glances before Enzo finally spoke. "Our family runs one of the largest, most influential organizations in this city," Enzo explained carefully, his tone calm yet direct. "Not entirely legal businesses, as you might have already guessed from the security surrounding this mansion." Bella's breath caught sharply, realization dawning slowly as she processed his words. "You're Mafia?" she asked quietly, disbelief evident clearly in her voice. Matteo nodded solemnly, confirming her fear directly. "Yes," he said simply. "Our family, the Morettis, has controlled significant influence within this city for generations." Bella's mind raced anxiously, trying desperately to process this shocking revelation. "But what does this have to do with me?" she asked, confusion and fear evident clearly in her voice. "I don't know anything about your business." Dante studied her carefully, sympathy and seriousness evident in his expression. "The man who followed you last night wasn't a random stranger," he explained gently. "He works for a rival family, the Countess, who have recently intensified efforts to undermine our influence." "But why target me?" Bella asked, panic rising steadily within her. "I have no connection to any of this." Enzo leaned forward slightly, his tone measured and careful. "Unfortunately, your assignment yesterday placed you unknowingly near one of our private business locations," he explained. "The Countess likely believed you might have photographed something valuable, evidence potentially useful against us." Bella's mind raced back quickly to her assignment the previous day, recalling vaguely photographing a quiet warehouse district downtown, unaware at the time of any hidden significance behind the location. "I didn't photograph anything important," she said quickly, panic clear in her voice. "Just ordinary buildings, nothing specific." Matteo studied her carefully, though skepticism remained evident in his gaze. "Perhaps," he said cautiously, "but the Countess won't take that risk. Until we're certain you're no longer a target, it's far safer for you to remain here, under our direct protection." Bella felt overwhelmed, fear and confusion intensifying rapidly as she processed the seriousness of her unexpected situation. "How long will I need to stay?" she asked anxiously. Dante considered her question carefully before responding honestly. "Until we're certain the threat against you has completely passed," he said firmly. "We won't allow anything to happen to you, Bella. You have our word." Despite her fear and uncertainty, Bella found herself surprisingly reassured by the sincerity evident clearly in Dante's tone, as well as in his brother's equally serious, protective expressions. Still, anxiety lingered deeply within her regarding the drastic and unexpected turn her simple ordinary life had suddenly taken. Over the following days, Bella slowly adjusted to her unusual new circumstances, cautiously exploring the mansion's grand rooms and beautifully maintained gardens, always accompanied discreetly by household staff or occasionally by one of the brothers themselves. She found herself growing increasingly curious about the triplets individually, noticing subtle yet distinct differences in their personalities despite their identical appearances. Dante appeared calm, controlled, and clearly the primary decision-maker among the brothers, always careful and measured in his words and actions. Enzo, meanwhile, seemed warmer, more approachable, frequently checking on Bella's comfort and well-being personally. Matteo, by contrast, remained more reserved and thoughtful, often observing quietly from a distance, though his sharp, attentive gaze rarely missed anything happening around him. One afternoon, while exploring the mansion's expansive library, Bella encountered Enzo quietly reading nearby. "Mind if I join you?" she asked politely, gesturing toward a nearby armchair. Enzo smiled warmly, gesturing invitingly. "Please make yourself comfortable," he replied kindly. They spent the afternoon quietly discussing books, art and photography, Bella slowly feeling more at ease in Enzo's genuine warm company. "You seem different from your brothers," she noted curiously at one point. "More relaxed somehow." Enzo chuckled softly, appreciation evident clearly in his expression. "We each handled different responsibilities within our family," he explained. "Dante manages strategic decisions and negotiations, Matteo oversees security and enforcement, while I handle public relations and community matters." Bella nodded thoughtfully, intrigued by this insight into their unique family dynamic. "That's quite an organized system," she remarked, genuine curiosity evident in her tone. Enzo studied her thoughtfully, warmth evident clearly in his gaze. "We've had to be organized, given our unusual circumstances," he admitted honestly. "But lately, having you here has brought a refreshing change to our usually predictable routine." Bella blushed slightly at his sincere compliment, uncertain exactly how to respond to his evident interest. Before she could reply, however, Matteo appeared suddenly at the library door, his expression serious and urgent. "Enzo, Bella," he said quickly, clear tension evident in his tone. "We have a situation. The Countess have made contact directly, demanding proof that Bella hasn't captured anything incriminating." Bella's heart pounded anxiously, fear rushing through her instantly at Matteo's urgent tone. "What does that mean exactly?" she asked nervously. Matteo's gaze remained serious, concern evident clearly in his expression. "It means the danger you're facing is far more immediate and serious than we initially anticipated," he explained gravely. "We need to act quickly to ensure your continued safety." As tension mounted rapidly within the mansion, Bella realized clearly that her simple, unexpected shelter from the storm had evolved into something far more dangerous and complicated than she could have ever anticipated, drawing her steadily deeper into the Moretta's perilous, complicated world. Following Matteo's urgent announcement, the brothers quickly gathered in Dante's private office, Bella following closely behind, anxiety and confusion evident clearly in her expression. Dante moved swiftly behind his desk, his expression serious as he addressed his brothers directly. "What exactly are the Countess demanding?" Dante asked firmly, concern evident clearly beneath his controlled tone. Matteo held up his phone, displaying a message he had recently received. "They're insisting Bella hand over her camera equipment immediately, claiming she photographed sensitive information near their operations," he explained seriously. "If we refuse, they've threatened to escalate the situation further." Bella's breath caught sharply, panic evident clearly in her voice. "But I didn't photograph anything sensitive," she insisted anxiously. "I can show you everything I captured that day if it helps." Enzo nodded reassuringly toward her. "That would help clarify things significantly," he said gently. "Do you still have your camera equipment with you?" Bella nodded quickly, relief momentarily flooding through her at the possibility of resolving the misunderstanding directly. "Yes, it's in my bag upstairs," she replied. "I'll get it immediately." Minutes later, Bella returned with her camera, quickly scrolling through her photographs from the previous assignment, carefully showing each image to the brothers. The photographs depicted ordinary warehouse buildings, empty streets, and typical urban scenery, nothing overtly suspicious or incriminating evident within any of the images. Dante studied the photographs carefully, his expression thoughtful. "There's nothing here that clearly threatens the Countess directly," he confirmed, relief evident subtly in his tone. "This should be enough to resolve their concerns." Matteo, however, remained cautious, his expression thoughtful and serious. "The Countess rarely act without deeper motives," he warned carefully. "Even if these photographs prove harmless, their true intentions might run deeper than merely retrieving sensitive images." Bella glanced nervously between the brothers, uncertainty evident clearly in her expression. "What do you mean?" she asked anxiously. "What else could they possibly want?" Dante considered Matteo's warning carefully before responding thoughtfully. "The Countess have long sought opportunities to weaken our family's reputation and influence," he explained seriously. "If they can't find direct evidence against us, they might instead use you as leverage, attempting to manipulate our reactions publicly. Bella felt a chill run through her at this new realization, fear intensifying rapidly within her. "You mean they might try to hurt me directly just to provoke you?" she asked, voice trembling slightly. Enzo stepped forward gently, his tone reassuring despite the serious nature of their conversation. "We won't allow that to happen, Bella," he said firmly. "Your safety remains our absolute priority." Matteo nodded in agreement, seriousness evident clearly in his expression. "We'll handle this carefully," he said firmly. "But it's crucial you remain here, under close protection until we've resolved this completely." Bella nodded slowly, understanding clearly the seriousness of her situation despite the fear and uncertainty still lingering within her. "What's our next step then?" she asked cautiously. Dante considered carefully, formulating a strategic response. "We'll arrange a direct meeting with the Countess," he said firmly. Present clear evidence that Bella poses no threat, while making it explicitly clear that further threats against her will not be tolerated. Matteo nodded firmly, agreeing with Dante's strategic approach. "I'll personally handle security arrangements for the meeting," he offered. "We can't risk any further complications." Enzo glanced toward Bella, concern evident clearly in his gaze. "In the meantime, Bella, please remain cautious and close to us," he advised gently. "We'll ensure your complete safety throughout this process." Bella nodded, appreciation and gratitude evident clearly in her expression despite lingering anxiety. "Thank you," she said softly. "I really don't know how to repay your kindness and protection." Dante offered a small, genuine smile, warmth evident briefly in his otherwise serious demeanor. "Your safety is enough for us, Bella," he reassured her sincerely. "We take our responsibilities seriously, especially toward those under our protection." As the brothers began carefully planning their strategic response to the Countess threat, Bella found herself growing steadily more comfortable within the mansion, despite the danger surrounding her situation. She noticed subtle, distinct attentions from each brother individually, confusing her deeply about their intentions and feelings toward her. Later that evening, while resting quietly in the mansion's expansive garden, Bella found herself unexpectedly joined by Matteo, who approached cautiously, his expression thoughtful and slightly reserved. "May I sit with you?" he asked politely, gesturing toward the bench beside her. Bella nodded, curiosity evident clearly in her expression. "Of course," she replied warmly. Matteo settled quietly beside her, his gaze thoughtful as he studied the peaceful garden surrounding them. "I wanted to apologize," he said finally, his tone unusually gentle, "for the seriousness and danger you've unexpectedly become entangled in because of us." Bella studied him curiously, surprised by his sincere and unexpected apology. "It's not your fault, Matteo," she reassured him gently. "None of us could have predicted this situation." Matteo nodded slowly, appreciation evident clearly in his gaze. "Still, I want you to know," he continued quietly, "that despite the danger, I've genuinely appreciated getting to know you these past few days." Bella felt herself blush slightly at his sincere admission, uncertain exactly how to respond to his quiet, genuine affection. Before she could reply, however, a sudden commotion erupted from within the mansion, urgent voices calling out anxiously from inside. Matteo's expression shifted instantly from gentle affection to sharp alertness. "Stay here," he instructed firmly, quickly rising from the bench. "I need to check what's happening." Bella watched anxiously as Matteo hurried back toward the mansion, fear and uncertainty rushing through her instantly as she realized clearly that the danger surrounding her situation had suddenly escalated once again, threatening to disrupt the fragile safety she had only just begun to feel within the Moretta's complicated, dangerous world. Bella waited anxiously in the garden, her heart pounding as she strained to hear what was happening inside the mansion. Minutes felt like hours before Matteo finally returned, his expression tense but controlled. "What happened?" Bella asked urgently, rising quickly from the bench. "A car was spotted circling the property twice," Matteo explained carefully. "Probably just Conti scouts checking our security. Nothing happened, but it confirms they're watching closely." Bella exhaled shakily, relief mixing with lingering fear. "This is all so much," she admitted quietly. "I keep wondering how my life changed so completely in just a few days." Matteo studied her thoughtfully, something gentle crossing his usually guarded expression. "Come inside," he said softly. "It's late and you should rest. I think it's time you understood more about why we take protection so seriously." Later that evening, the three brothers gathered with Bella in a quiet sitting room, a fire crackling softly in the background. Dante spoke first, his tone unusually reflective. Our parents were killed when we were 16, he said quietly. A rival family targeted our father directly, but our mother was caught in the crossfire simply because she refused to leave his side. Bella's breath caught sharply, sympathy flooding through her instantly. I'm so sorry, she whispered. Enzo continued gently, though pain remained evident beneath his controlled tone. After that, we made a promise to each other, he explained. Never to let anyone we cared about become vulnerable the way our mother had been. We built strict rules around trust, keeping most people at a careful distance. Matteo nodded, his expression thoughtful. That's why none of us have ever allowed anyone to get truly close, he admitted honestly. Relationships create vulnerabilities in our world, vulnerabilities enemies exploit ruthlessly. Bella listened carefully, understanding slowly the depth of pain and caution shaping the brothers' guarded nature. But you've let me stay here, she said softly. Why? Dante considered her question seriously before answering honestly. Because turning you away that night would have meant abandoning someone innocent to real danger, he said quietly. And because, somehow, you've reminded each of us what genuine connection feels like, something we buried deeply after our parents' deaths. Bella felt her heart soften considerably at his honest admission, understanding suddenly the depth of trust the brothers were extending toward her despite their painful history. Thank you for trusting me with this, she said sincerely. I know it's not easy for you. Enzo smiled gently, warmth evident clearly in his expression. You've earned that trust, Bella, he said honestly. More than you probably realize. As their conversation deepened further that evening, Bella found herself growing increasingly attached to each brother individually, confused yet strangely comforted by the genuine care and attention each of them showed her in their own distinct ways. Over the following days, Bella noticed the brothers working tirelessly, careful negotiations with the Countess progressing steadily behind closed doors. Though tension remained high, the mansion itself began feeling less like a fortress and more like an unexpected, complicated home to Bella. One quiet afternoon, while helping Enzo organize old family photographs in the library, Bella came across an old picture of the brothers as young boys, standing proudly beside their parents. You all look so happy here, she observed softly. Enzo studied the photograph thoughtfully, nostalgia evident clearly in his expression. We were, he admitted quietly. Before everything changed so suddenly. Bella reached out gently, placing a comforting hand on his arm. I'm sorry you all had to go through something so painful, she said sincerely. Enzo looked at her carefully, appreciation and warmth evident clearly in his gaze. Having you here has helped more than you realize, Bella, he admitted honestly. You've brought warmth back into this house, something we didn't realize we were missing. Their quiet, meaningful moment was interrupted suddenly by Dante entering briskly, his expression serious and urgent. We've received word from the Countess, he announced firmly. They've agreed to a meeting tomorrow evening to resolve this situation completely. Bella's heart pounded anxiously at this news, uncertainty and hope intertwining deeply within her. What happens if the meeting doesn't go well? She asked nervously. Dante's expression grew serious, though he remained calm and controlled. We're prepared for every possibility, he reassured her firmly. But rest assured, Bella, we won't allow anything to happen to you. As tension mounted steadily in anticipation of the upcoming meeting, Bella found herself reflecting deeply on how quickly her life had transformed, drawn unexpectedly into the Moretta's dangerous yet genuinely caring world. Despite the uncertainty and danger surrounding her, she realized clearly that she had begun to care deeply for each of the three brothers, unsure exactly how such complicated feelings could ever be resolved simply or safely. Little did she know, the following day's meeting with the Countess would test not only the fragile peace the brothers had carefully negotiated, but also the deep, complicated bond quietly forming between herself and the three Moretti triplets. The following evening arrived quickly, tension thick throughout the mansion as the brothers prepared carefully for their meeting with the Countess. Dante, Enzo, and Matteo dressed sharply, their expressions serious and focused, while Bella watched anxiously from the sitting room, unable to shake the nervous unease settling deeply within her. Remember, Dante instructed his brothers firmly, we present the evidence calmly, make our position clear, and avoid unnecessary escalation. Matteo nodded firmly, though his expression remained cautious. The Countess rarely negotiate honestly, he warned. We should be prepared for anything. Enzo glanced toward Bella, concern evident clearly in his gaze. Bella, please stay inside with the household staff while we're away, he instructed gently. Security will remain heightened throughout the property. Bella nodded anxiously, though unease lingered deeply within her. Please be careful, she said sincerely, genuine worry evident clearly in her voice. The brothers departed shortly afterward, leaving Bella anxiously waiting within the mansion, accompanied by household staff and additional security personnel positioned carefully throughout the property. Hours passed slowly, tension building steadily as Bella awaited news of the meeting's outcome. Unbeknownst to the brothers, however, the meeting itself was merely a calculated distraction. While Dante, Enzo, and Matteo negotiated cautiously with Conti representatives at a neutral location downtown, a separate group of Conti operatives quietly approached the Moretti mansion directly, taking advantage of the brothers' temporary absence. Bella first noticed something wrong when the mansion's normally steady security personnel suddenly appeared anxious, quickly communicating urgently through their earpieces. "What's happening?" she asked nervously, approaching one of the guards cautiously. "Perimeter breach," the guard replied quickly, clear urgency evident in his tone. "Get to the safe room immediately, Miss Rossi." Panic gripped Bella instantly as she rushed quickly toward the mansion's secure safe room, guided urgently by household staff. Gunfire suddenly erupted outside, echoing sharply through the mansion's grounds, confirming clearly the seriousness of the unfolding attack. Inside the safe room, Bella waited anxiously, her heart pounding rapidly as she listened nervously to the chaos unfolding outside. Suddenly her phone buzzed urgently. It was Matteo, calling immediately upon receiving news of the attack. "Bella, are you safe?" Matteo asked urgently, tension evident clearly in his voice. "I'm in the safe room," Bella replied quickly, fear trembling clearly in her voice. "But there's gunfire outside, Matteo. I'm scared." "We're on our way back immediately," Matteo reassured her firmly, though clear urgency colored his tone. "Stay calm, stay hidden. We'll be there soon." As the brothers rushed urgently back toward the mansion, Bella remained anxiously hidden within the safe room, listening nervously as gunfire and shouting continued outside. Suddenly she noticed movement nearby, one of the household staff members, clearly injured, stumbling toward the safe room entrance, seeking urgent help. Without hesitation, Bella's nursing instincts from her past volunteer work quickly took over. She rushed forward carefully, assisting the injured staff member into the safe room, quickly applying pressure to his wound despite her own fear and uncertainty. "You're going to be okay," she reassured him firmly, applying careful pressure to stem the bleeding. "Just hold on." Minutes later, the brothers finally arrived back at the mansion, quickly neutralizing the remaining Conti operatives with the assistance of their own security team. The attack, though brief and intense, was swiftly brought under control, the immediate danger finally subsiding. Dante rushed urgently into the safe room, relief flooding through him instantly upon finding Bella safe, carefully tending to the injured staff member. "Bella," he said urgently, kneeling quickly beside her. "Are you hurt?" Bella shook her head quickly, adrenaline still coursing through her. "I'm fine," she reassured him, though her hands trembled slightly. "But he needs medical attention immediately." Dante nodded quickly, calling urgently for medical assistance, clearly impressed by Bella's calm composure and quick thinking during the dangerous crisis. Enzo and Matteo arrived shortly afterward, relief and admiration evident clearly in their expressions upon witnessing Bella's courageous actions. "You saved his life," Enzo said softly, genuine admiration evident clearly in his tone. "Thank you, Bella." Bella exhaled shakily, adrenaline slowly fading as the reality of the dangerous situation began settling deeply within her. "I couldn't just do nothing," she admitted quietly. "Not when someone needed help." Matteo studied her carefully, admiration and affection evident clearly in his gaze. "You've shown incredible strength and courage tonight," he said sincerely. "More than we could have ever expected." As medical assistants arrived promptly to care for the injured staff member, the brothers gathered closely around Bella, gratitude and admiration evident clearly in their expressions. Despite the danger and chaos of the evening, Bella realized clearly that she had proven herself capable of far more than she had ever imagined, earning genuine respect and admiration from all three brothers. Yet, as the immediate danger passed, Bella understood clearly that the true resolution of this dangerous conflict with the Countess remained uncertain, setting the stage for a final, decisive confrontation that would determine not only her own safety, but the future of her unexpected, complicated bond with the three Moretti brothers. In the days following the attack on the mansion, the Moretti brothers worked quickly and decisively to finish what the failed ambush had started. Furious that the Countess had used the negotiation meeting as a distraction, Dante called for an immediate, final confrontation, determined to end the conflict permanently rather than allow it to drag on and endanger anyone else. They broke every rule of good faith the moment they attacked while we were negotiating in person, Dante said firmly, addressing his brothers in his office the next morning. There's no more room for diplomacy. We finished this properly on our terms. Matteo nodded firmly, agreement clear in his expression. I've already gathered everything we need, he said. Their base of operations, their key people, their weaknesses. We can end this cleanly within days. Enzo, though generally the most diplomatic of the three, agreed without hesitation this time. After what almost happened to Bella and our staff, I won't argue for restraint, he said seriously. This has to end. Over the following days, the brothers moved carefully and strategically, using their combined strengths, Dante's negotiation skills, Matteo's security expertise, and Enzo's wide network of community and business contacts, to isolate the Conti family's remaining support and expose their reckless, dishonest tactics to the other powerful families in the city. Facing mounting pressure and abandonment from former allies who disapproved of their broken agreement, the Conti family's leadership was ultimately forced to step down, their influence collapsing rapidly under the weight of their own reckless decisions. Within a week, the threat that had once endangered Bella's life completely faded, the danger finally resolved. When Dante returned to the mansion with the news, Bella felt an overwhelming wave of relief wash over her. It's really over? She asked, hardly daring to believe it. It's over, Dante confirmed, a rare, genuine smile forming on his face. You're completely safe now, Bella? Bella exhaled deeply, gratitude and relief flooding through her instantly. Thank you, she said softly. For everything. For protecting me, for trusting me, for treating me like I mattered. Enzo, standing nearby, smiled warmly. You've mattered to us since the night you knocked on our gates, he said honestly. More than we expected if we're being truthful. With the danger finally resolved, Bella found herself facing an important, personal decision. Her original, simple life as a freelance photographer was still waiting for her outside the mansion's gates, yet she realized clearly how much she had changed during her time within these walls, and how deeply she had come to care for the family who had protected her so fiercely. One quiet evening, sitting together with all three brothers in the mansion's cozy sitting room, Bella finally spoke honestly about what she had been considering. I've been thinking about what happens next, she said carefully. About whether I should go back to my old life or... Matteo asked gently, genuine curiosity and hope evident clearly in his expression. Bella took a deep breath, honesty clear in her voice. Or stay here with all of you, she admitted. This place has become more than just shelter to me. It's become home. The brothers exchanged warm, meaningful glances, genuine happiness evident clearly among them at her heartfelt admission. We'd be honored to have you stay, Bella, Dante said sincerely. This family has felt more complete since you arrived. Bella smiled, warmth and happiness filling her completely as she looked between the three brothers who had each, in their own way, shown her genuine kindness, protection and care during the most frightening and transformative period of her life. Then it's settled, she said softly. I'm staying. In the months that followed, Bella built a new, meaningful life alongside the Moretti family, continuing her photography work while also becoming deeply involved in the community projects Enzo managed, occasionally assisting Matteo with security planning through her sharp attention to detail, and providing Dante with a source of genuine warmth and perspective he had long been missing in his complicated, demanding life. The mansion that had once felt like an intimidating fortress slowly transformed into a place filled with genuine warmth, laughter and connection, exactly the kind of family the three brothers had lost so painfully years earlier, and exactly the kind of belonging Bella herself had never fully realized she was searching for. As she stood one peaceful evening on the mansion's balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky in warm, gentle colors, Bella reflected quietly on the incredible, unexpected journey that had begun with a single, frightening storm. What had started as a desperate search for shelter had transformed completely into something far more meaningful, a genuine, unexpected family, built not on fear or convenience, but on real trust, courage and care.